Okay, we're going to get started. Welcome to Congressman Denny Heck's live town hall with Commissioner Suzi LeVine of the Washington State Employment Security Department. Congressman Heck represents Washington's 10th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives, and Commissioner LeVine leads Washington's Employment Security Department, or ESD, where she is currently overseeing a massive effort to get assistance to Washington workers affected by the coronavirus pandemic. We're very fortunate to have her with us here today to help answer your questions. But before we get to those questions, I'm going to turn it over to Congressman Heck and then to Commissioner LeVine for some opening remarks. Congressman Heck.
Thanks, Bobby, very much. And thanks to each and every one of you who is joining us for what is, I think, the third of our series of telephone town halls. We had the first one on public health. We had the second one on the Small Business Administration. And as indicated, we're delighted that Commissioner Suzi LeVine, the head of the State Department of Employment Security, can join us today. Just to refresh all your memories, we've now in Congress passed 3 bills to help with this crisis. The first one dealing principally with public health issues, the second one dealing with family and sick leave, and the third big one called the CARES Act, $2.2 trillion, which we passed about 3 weeks ago. And it included several provisions, notably additional investments in public health, but also significant investments for small businesses and also significant investments to improve and enhance our unemployment compensation system. And that's what we're primarily here to talk about today and to receive your questions and have Commissioner LeVine answer them. I will say, however, that Congress is very hard at work as we speak, trying to develop yet a fourth bill, CARES 2.0, if you will. Its priorities will be continued investment in public health, also additional investment in Small Business Administration, and also significant resources for local, state, and tribal governments as their revenues have basically evaporated. I will say this one thing about our public health investments. We won't get ahead of the economic damage being done here until we defeat the virus. And the truth of the matter is, it's become pretty clear what we need to do in order for that to happen. We need to test, we need to trace, and we need to quarantine. And we can do all 3 of those in a robust manner while we're developing treatments and vaccines, then we will staunch the economic damage that much faster. But first, Commissioner Suzi LeVine, we are absolutely deeply grateful for her presence here today. She is the Commissioner of the Employment Security Department, but also has had a very distinguished public service career, including as ambassador to Switzerland and Liechtenstein under President Obama. She's also a member of National Workforce Advisory Board because it's not the Department of Unemployment Security, it's the Department of Employment Security. And so a lot of her agency spends time, effort, and energy helping people get jobs, find jobs, and the like. But first, Commissioner LeVine, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Congressman Heck. I always have a heck of a time participating in activities that you set up. I couldn't help myself. Thank you. And also knowing that within your area are those service members who are working out of GLM and or veterans who might have served, or near and dear to my heart, military spouses, because I'm the daughter of a military spouse, a veteran, and the granddaughter of a veteran, and the stepdaughter of a veteran. Thank you to all of those who are on the call and who have served in some capacity to our country. So the Employment Security Department is laser focused right now on 3 main priorities. 1, get benefits out more quickly to those who are eligible. 2, get benefits, expand the eligibility for those who can obtain benefits. And 3rd, help businesses, especially those in essential areas, in the talent they need with the tectonic shift in employment that's happening right now. We are keenly aware that people, in abiding by the governor's very important order to stay home and stay healthy, are at the same time enduring incredible economic hardship across the state. And we are so sorry for what they're going through on that front. We also recognize that with the incredible demand that we have seen, there are plenty who have obtained access to unemployment insurance and other benefits, but many who either haven't been able to get through for the phone lines, but also many who have not thus far been eligible. Thanks to Congressman Heck and his colleagues, we now have the CARES Act. And what will happen with the CARES Act is that it does 3 key things from an unemployment insurance standpoint. One, it expands eligibility to unemployment assistance to those who are not otherwise eligible and who have been impacted by COVID-19. It also increases the weekly benefit amount by $600 to anyone on unemployment insurance or unemployment assistance, the new expanded assistance program, or anybody using shared work, which I can talk about separately, but it's where businesses can reduce the hours and allow unemployment insurance against those reduced hours. The third thing it does is it extends the amount of time one can be on unemployment insurance if it's needed to 13 weeks. The time frames for each of those are as follows. The unemployment assistance expansion of eligibility, which allows those like self-employed workers, independent contractors, or those who have fewer than 680 hours, is retroactive to February 2nd, and it extends to the end of this calendar year. And again, that's if you've been impacted by COVID-19 in the workplace. The second, the $600, is from March 29th through July 25th. And the third, the 13 weeks, goes from March 29th to the end of the calendar year. Now, to get that work done, to be able to process the hundreds of thousands of people across the state, to be able to access those benefits, takes a lot of work. And my team has been working around the clock to update our software so that we can accommodate that incredible demand. This Saturday, we plan on launching that update so that people can then access it probably late in the day on Saturday, but more likely better on Sunday. It'll take a lot of the day for that update to go through. However, some really, really important things for people to be aware of. It is not going to be a super simple process, just putting that out there. We have a lot of instructions and information that we are posting to the website and through our newsletter and in social media. The most important thing that you can take away from this town hall with Congressman Heck and with me is to go to esd.wa.gov and sign up for our COVID-19 action alerts. There are 4 key things that people can do right now in order to prepare for this extension of benefits. Number 1, sign up for that newsletter. Number 2, go through something called our eligibility tracker. And you'll find it just off of the website on our unemployment page. This will help you determine, are you eligible for standard unemployment insurance or for the new pandemic unemployment assistance? Number 3, we have an application checklist that will help you be prepared. That will step you through what documents you might need, how you can be ready to apply. Number 4 is sign up now for an account, a Secure Access Washington or SAW account. We have a video, it's about 9 minutes long, and it's worth watching. It is not starring any one of your favorite movie stars, but it is going to get you your money faster, which is probably better watching film with your favorite movie stars. The more prepared you are, the faster you will get your money. What we have seen time and time again is that those who are more prepared are able to do the online application to get through smoothly, and we are then, for approved applications, people their money within 7 to 10 days. With the pandemic unemployment assistance, the extended unemployment assistance program, there are going to be some additional instructions. For example, for those who are independent contractors and self-employed workers, we do not already have our wage information. You don't have an employer that has submitted that to us, but all we need to do is to check against our records. We'll need to submit wage documentation, ideally your tax documentation in the past year, and then that needs to be checked. We'll provide you with the minimum weekly benefit amount, but then we need to go back and check every single one of those to confirm it so that we can get you your money quickly, get you a minimum amount quickly, verify it, and then get you the full amount, and we will pay you on a retroactive basis for that difference. I'm happy to explain this again and again and have information on the website. But most important thing is go to esd.wa.gov. Make sure you are prepared before you apply. Again, hundreds of thousands of people will now have access to this benefit, and it will provide economic security and peace of mind that so many have needed and so many will now be able to get. I'm humbled to lead an extraordinary team that has been working night and day to bring this to life. We are looking forward to rolling it out this weekend. With that, why don't I pause and answer questions that you or your constituents may have.
Before we
get through this together.
Thank you, Susie. Before we do that, I would like to make an observation and then ask a clarifying question, if I may. First, the observation I want to make is to put in context a little bit about the avalanche of requests that have come into the Department of Employment Security. I don't have the state-specific figures at my fingertips, but I can tell you this about the national data. In each of the last 2 weeks, the number of people who have filed for unemployment insurance in each of the last 2 weeks was 10 times greater than the highest week in the Great Recession in each of the last 2 weeks. That ought to put it a little bit in perspective about what's happening here. We're not experiencing a 100-year flood. We're experiencing a 500-year flood. And the team at Employment Security is racing literally around the clock to get the system so that it can get the money out to all of you. Secondly, a clarifying question, if I may, Susie. The point you made about people getting the minimum amount right away and then retroactively the enhanced amount once verification has been done, is that for regular filers or pandemic unemployment assistance filers, or both?
This is for pandemic unemployment assistance filers for whom we do not yet have wages and hours. So that is going to be independent contractors and self-employed workers. And to be clear, they're going to get two amounts. They're going to get the weekly benefit amount, and they're going to get the $600. When they file, we are going to give them the minimum of the weekly benefit amount, which is $235, plus the $600. Then we are actually taking basically our entire staff. I'm going to be doing it as well in terms of doing wage verification, to quickly go through those documents to confirm that what they have submitted matches what their documents. And then when we approve it, bam, then they will be able to get the full weekly benefit amount. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
And we'll
Bobby?
pay it retroactively. So nobody is going to be missing out on their benefits. We want to get money in their pocket, and yet we also want to protect taxpayers from fraud. That's the key. The other thing is, you talked about numbers. To give you a gauge here, our weekly initial claims last week was 170,000 people. That's equivalent to the population in Vancouver, Washington, or 2 sold-out Seahawks games. It is 7 times the peak week in the 2008-2009 recession. And overall, we now have 485,000 total claims last week. So that's an enormous and an unheard of number. It's about 950% up since before this crisis began. And the call volumes are at 1,000% just before the crisis began. We've been staffing up substantially. By the end of this week, we'll have over 500 service people handling our 800 number for questions, our virtual chat, our claims center. And by next week, we will have 1,000 people on board or more. So we are working quickly to staff up, but more importantly, we've been working quickly to get the information up on our website. People can help themselves and really go through this in a more automated way. And we've also been updating the technology to keep pace with the changes, the rules, and in law that we have been passing in order to accommodate more people and get people their money more quickly. That includes, for example, waived job search. So when you are on unemployment assistance, you do not need to search for a job. It is optional. We have waived the waiting week, which allows people to start getting their money from that, which is why we can provide people that money within 7 to 10 days of when they're approved. So a number of areas like that that we have been working on and rolling out and working on improving in a number of key ways. So does that help clarify your question and put the local context on the numbers?
Absolutely. And let's get to more questions. Bobby?
This question came in through constituent mail. What is Congress doing to help the people who are unemployed at this time? My partner, who I live with, is out of work as she does contracted construction work. Is she entitled to some kind of relief?
Yes, the pandemic unemployment assistance, which Suzi has just explained. I don't know if there's much to elaborate upon there. The answer is yes.
Please get your friend to sign up for our COVID action alerts, where they will be able to then get ready. You can start today getting her SAW account set up, her Secure Access Washington account set up. They can go through and do the eligibility checker just to confirm that it would be the pandemic unemployment assistance versus the regular unemployment insurance. And they can go through the application checklist so that they've got everything lined up. The more prepared, the faster the money.
Okay, the next question is from Brett via Facebook. When will the additional benefits be added to our weekly benefits? And do we need to do anything other than continue to file normally?
Brett, thank you so much. Those people who are on unemployment insurance already or who are eligible for unemployment insurance will also receive the $600 additional weekly benefit and then have access to the 13-week additional time. You do not need to do anything with regard to the $600. You will be paid retroactive to the date of your eligibility. So if you went on unemployment insurance March 15th, March 29th, for example, we'll get the $600 retroactive to that, as well as on an ongoing basis, $600 as long as you are on unemployment insurance up through July 25th. The only thing you'd need to do is if you do need extended benefits of 13 weeks in your account, you will then see a link after this Saturday. You will see a link to basically execute that and just to put that into action if you need those additional 13 weeks between now and the end of December.
Okay, the next question is from Dixie via Facebook as well. I'm a senior who lives on Social Security. I have not filed my taxes for 3 years. Some say they will use our Social Security account to get our money to us. Others say we must file a tax return for 2018. Can you help with how this is going to work so I do not have a delay in getting my payment? If we need to file a tax return, where can we get one? And hopefully it will be easy to work out because I don't want to pay a tax preparer to file it. I look forward to your meeting on Facebook with Suzi LeVine. Thank you very much.
So if I understood that question correctly, it had to do not with unemployment benefits, of course, but with the $1,200 payment that is going to be made available to all adults and the $500 per child, depending on their circumstance. And the answer is that issue of what Social Security recipients would have to do since the program was first adopted has gone through some clarification. And at the present time, you will not need to refile your taxes. It will come to you.
Okay, next question is from Jeff on Facebook. Aren't the self-employed supposed to be covered for employment under the CARES Act? And how do we access it or file a claim if we are self-employed?
Jeff, what a great question. Yes, you are covered under the CARES Act. So please go, and we're going to all be singing this song together. Go to esd.wa.gov, and the 4 key steps: sign up for our action alerts, go through the eligibility checker, do the application preparation checklist, and create your SAW account. You can do that between now and Saturday, and then Saturday night or Sunday or the next days after that, apply and use the online system in order to apply. Please have your documentation ready to go. Things like your 1099s or your 2019 tax filing will be the most ideal to use. That's how self-employed will be able to take advantage of this, and you'll be paid retroactive to the date of eligibility, which will be when you were impacted by the COVID-19 crisis.
I would also recommend that anybody who is self-employed and has a small business go to the SBA website and check out some of the resources that are being made available there. There are a variety of them. I don't want to get into that detail here on this town hall, which is dealing principally with unemployment compensation, but there are other forms of assistance that you should check out as well.
One of the things I want to reemphasize, though, is our phone lines have been inundated, and even though we're expanding the number of people, like if you have an overflowing pipe, there's 2 things you can do: reduce the flow or increase the pipe size. We're doing both. Now that said, we are trying to do 60% of the calls into our call center questions. Most of those questions are answered by our frequently asked questions on the website. Please start with the website so that we can reserve those calls, those very precious center agents who are very skilled to work with those individuals who do have more complex cases and require intervention. So I just want to put that out there.
And the next question is actually about student loans. So more for Congressman Heck here. I would like to see a bill that would provide skipping student loan payments with no penalties as long as the debtor is on a reduced or non-work schedule due to COVID-19. I'm still employed, but my boss keeps talking about massive layoffs. Do you think that student loan relief could be a possibility?
Well, a partial form of student loan relief was actually included in the CARES Act. If you have a federal student loan that's still with the federal government, then your payments have been suspended until the end of September. If, however, you've refinanced that into the private sector, currently there isn't a form of assistance available, but there is increased conversation about whether or not to include that in a CARES 2.0 package. Again, if you have a federal student loan now and the paper is still held by the federal government, then you are suspended without penalty for making payment until the end of September.
Okay, the next question is from Lou Ann from Facebook. I am unemployed now due to the virus. I looked into applying for unemployment, but did not work the required hours last year. Now I'm back in the same boat I was in before I got my job. I've heard rumors that the hours worked requirement might be waived, but have been unable to confirm this.
So Luann, thank you for asking. We've been talking a lot about independent contractors and self-employed workers, but the CARES Act also addresses those who have fewer than 680 hours. 680 hours is a Washington-specific statute. Basically, the CARES Act and pandemic unemployment assistance is for anybody who is considered ineligible for our regular unemployment insurance program. So if you have been denied in the past because you don't have enough hours, that includes you. So you should be able to apply, and please have your documentation ready. And because it's more of an hours rather than you are an independent contractor or self-employed worker, most likely we actually have your hours already on file. So what I'd recommend is going back. Sounds like you've already applied, so you may already have a Secure Access Washington account and an e-services account. But go in there and see whether it's already showing your hours. It's a nice thing for you that you may be able to just get through in an automated way wage verification because we already have wages and your hours on file. So I would go back and look at your account, go through the application, have all of your materials, sign up for our newsletter, and you should be good to go, assuming you're eligible. So there you go, Luann. Hopefully that helps.
So Suzi, I want to get in here and ask a question about WorkShare. Because our office has been getting a lot of those questions. If they've been laid off, but then they're brought back on fewer hours than they were, how is their unemployment benefit affected?
So businesses who are using shared work can apply online, and they list out their employees, and the employees apply. And so as anybody who's receiving unemployment insurance of any amount will be able to access the additional $6 benefit as well as the additional 13 weeks. So if you are in a shared work situation where it's 10 to 50 hours reduced by your employer, and you're receiving unemployment insurance to do the partial wage replacement on those reduced hours, you are eligible for receiving the additional benefits as part of this. Not, however, need to take action in order to get the $600. That will just start showing up in your weekly check. What you do need to do is to continue to file your weekly claims. So for those people who are business owners, do recommend considering shared work because it allows you to keep your employees attached, to sort of spread it out across more employees, fewer hours perhaps, and to allow people to still have the dignity of work, which I think is a core part of what fuels us. So that's a nice benefit, is that shared work, those people in that situation are still eligible for the $600 a week increment to the weekly benefit through the end of July.
So just to be clear, Susie, we can get lost in so much of the alphabet soup and the complexity here. If I was working 40 hours, I was laid off, and then the boss brings me back for 20 hours, I can continue to receive a pro rata share of unemployment, but the full 600 a week in addition to my wage for my reduced hours?
The employer needs to have signed up for our shared work program, which they can apply online. And once they've done that and their application has been approved, and those employees who have the reduced hours can have partial wage replacement for their weekly benefit against those reduced hours, and they will get the $600 additional weekly from the CARES Act.
Thank you. Bobby.
Next question. Because of COVID-19, I've been laid off from the small business I work for. As a result of that, my medical insurance will stop soon. I have to buy insurance in case I get sick. I'll be getting unemployment pay, but half of that is going to pay for my health insurance. Is the government considering anything to help people who have lost their income and their health insurance?
So I think there are probably three main opportunities here for continuing healthcare coverage. The first would be COBRA, the system that enables you to continue for, I think it is 18 months, your current health program. That's kind of expensive because it requires you, if your employer's been participating, to pay not only what you have, but also what they have. Secondly, however, if your income drops below a certain level, and I think it's $1,300 and some dollars a month per adult, or $30-some hundred a month for a family of four. If your income is below a certain level, then you can qualify for the Apple Health Program or Medicaid health insurance in this state, which would be free. If, however, your income is above that, you can apply to the local health exchange where there's a sliding scale based on what it is you make. So three options: COBRA full boat, apply to the health exchange. However, how much you pay is reduced based on your income. Or third, if you drop below a certain level, then you qualify for the Apple Health of the Medicaid program.
And I'll add one thing, because we get this question with some frequency as well. The Health Benefits Exchange team wanted me to let folks know that open enrollment is open right now. And so people can check that out, and they made that happen because of this crisis that we're in right now.
Thank you. Bobby.
Next question is from Michelle via Facebook. We've been trying to access benefits and the website is not helpful. There's been no live phone assistance and we've had to schedule a callback for April 21st. We're unable to set up an account. How will we be able to apply for and receive funds?
One of the things, thank you so much, Michelle, for that question. Setting up an account has frankly been one of the top issues that we've been trying to work through. And I don't know if this is a recent issue that you've run into. What we've found is that the lion's share of people who ran into issues with setting up a secure access Washington account had another account, but they had forgotten their password or how to access it. A week and a half ago, we rolled out an update that allowed people to reset that to fix that issue. There have been other areas related to setting up an account that folks have run through challenges, and we have a video now posted with regards to how to set up your account. Unfortunately, if that's still not working, it does mean calling. We've expanded hours where we are Monday through Friday from 8 to 4, and then Saturdays from 7 to 4. And we are doing callbacks late into the evenings as well as on Sundays. So unfortunately, Michelle, the answer might be just to continue to try us and hold your appointment of April 21st that you have for that callback, and hopefully we can get that resolved as quickly as possible. If there are other technical issues that you want to send in to Congressman Heck's office, we can see if it's a generalized issue that we already have an answer to try to address it. But if it's a specific point around your setup or your account, then unfortunately it is going to take getting somebody on the line to help you. And so people have been getting through on the phones. We're answering several thousand calls a day out of the several more thousand calls a day that are coming in. So I know it's cold comfort. I apologize for that. We're really doing the best that we can, and we're trying to staff up as quickly as we can.
So Suzi, I know, and I'm joining in the chorus here, www.esd.wa.gov, www.esd.wa.gov, but should somebody need to call, they would call what number?
I don't know the 800 number off the top of my head because it's not some catchy 800 number. I wish. And at the same time, I don't wish because I want people to use the website first.
www.esd.wa.gov.
Yes, they'll see it in the course of their work that they're doing, that they're trying to get that set up. The other thing is, the more people that we can get to use the website, the more the claims agents and the specialists will be able to help those individuals who really need their help. So again, if you have just a question, please go to the website and look up the information there. We have a plethora of it there. We've reorganized it, and we've really tried to address the ones that we know are coming in.
Bobby.
Okay, we're going to take a question from Facebook now that from live viewers. This is from Anne Marie. When can self-employed and gig workers apply for unemployment insurance?
The update goes live this Saturday, and will take most of the day for us to do that update and to test it and make sure it's solid and stable. So I would encourage you to start to apply on that Sunday, but you can do stuff now, Anne Marie. You can go to the website, sign up for alerts, go through the eligibility checker. We'll determine which one is appropriate, whether it's our current unemployment insurance, whether it is this expanded insurance, and then you would go through the application checklist, make sure that you're ready, sign up for a Secure Access Washington account, and then apply. Come ideally Sunday. We take the whole day on Saturday for the upgrade.
And this next question has to do with mortgage and rent relief. So Congressman Heck, I contacted my mortgage lender to inquire about what options were available under the president's order regarding mortgage forgiveness for those affected by the coronavirus. I was saddened and frustrated when the message on my lender's webpage stated that there was no help for anyone with a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA, or USDA mortgage. Aside from conventional loans, this eliminates the use of this forbearance or forgiveness measure that was issued by the president. It seems as though they found a loophole to not assist those of us in need during the pandemic. I would appreciate your investigation and hopeful resolution of this problem. I'm sure this affects tens of thousands of residents in your district as well as my family. Thank you for your time.
Who is that from, Bobby?
That was from Summer and came in through constituent mail.
Summer, thanks very much for the question. First of all, I'm not sure about all of the alphabet soup that you read in terms of the stated lack of availability of mortgage forbearance, but with the government-sponsored enterprises, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, that's simply not true. What you were told was not true, and I would recommend you take another run at them. It is not mortgage forgiveness, it's mortgage forbearance. In other words, without penalty, a suspension of obligation for a period of time. But it is not true that there isn't any mortgage forbearance available. There is. Secondly, there is, however, not much in the way of rental assistance. In fact, it's one of my 4 highest priorities for the CARES Act 2.0. I think it's really important that people be able to pay their rent, because if they can't, of course, they're going to face some very serious consequences at the point at which the ban on evictions is lifted. And they are, in most areas, not allowed to be evicted from their place. What they need is the ability to pay that rent. So we will be making a big push for inclusion of rental assistance in CARES 2.0. There's been some receptivity, but I don't want to make a prediction at this point. The last, I would suggest that you call our office on the mortgage issue. If you own your home or your condominium and you're being told that, and it's backed by the GSEs, and you're being told that there isn't any forbearance, again, I think that's just flat wrong. So call our office, we can help. You can find our phone number, which I also don't know off the top of my head, online easily. We have offices in both Lacey and Lakewood.
All right, the next question is from Katie via Facebook. I have employees who are afraid to work at my convenience store. Is there any relief for them? Also, as to the mandated sick leave, or FMLA, which is the Family Medical Leave Act, what is the standard of proof an employee would have to submit to qualify for the 2 weeks of sick leave or FMLA? I have one employee who is asking to receive sick leave to take care of her father, who she lives with, who is elderly and ill. Additionally, I have one employee who has diabetes and asthma and has asked for sick leave.
Oh, goodness. A lot to unpack there. Again, I'm going to recommend that you call the office because it sounds like there's some real idiosyncratic or individual circumstances associated with both of those employees as it relates to implementation either of the family sick leave, family leave or sick leave, but also who may or may not apply, be eligible for unemployment. So unless Suzi has something to offer, I'm going to invite you to involve one of our caseworkers who have pretty deep expertise on how to help people navigate through these situations.
I have, with regards to the workers and the question of access to unemployment insurance, because it's a convenience store and providing food, it is an essential business and it has not been required to close. Those individuals themselves are not personally ill or caring for somebody who is ill or in need of quarantine. And so unfortunately, if they choose to not work, it would be considered a voluntary quit. They would not be eligible for unemployment insurance, nor would they be eligible for pandemic unemployment assistance. I am going to call in my phone a friend, Joy Adams, who is participating as well, who will be able to check my work, so to speak, and let me know if, in fact, that was an accurate assessment, at least from what I heard. If, however, those individuals were needing to care for somebody, had childcare issues, any number of different things that would be other than I don't feel safe. If the employer is not providing the necessary precautions for safety, then I would also point them to the labor and industries elements that have been rolled out to ensure people's safety. So it's nuanced and we're figuring it out. There is a possibility that they could qualify for pandemic unemployment assistance, but at this point, it doesn't look like that. We will post more clarity on that shortly.
Joy, did you want to, wait a
go
minute,
ahead.
Bobby. Joy, did you want to affirm, expand, or clarify on that? Joy is the phone a friend that's available audio only.
She works in my policy shop and is amazing.
Thank you so much. No, it really does become, that's one of those edge cases of it depends. It depends exactly on the circumstance that the person is facing. They may be able to make a good argument that they have a separation reason that qualifies, but we just won't know until we know a little bit more about the situation. So it's worth applying if necessary.
The only other thing that I would add to that is frankly a shout out to all the people who are working in essential services, especially that have high incidence of public interface, and especially including convenience store employees, because they're helping to feed America right now and provide for their basic necessities at a time when we all know that the more interactions we have with other people, the higher the likelihood or chance that you will contract COVID-19. And so thank you for your work. It truly is helping to keep society going. And it's my hope that also as a part of CARES 2.0, that we can have more emphasis on getting the personal protection equipment to everybody that needs it. And now we have a lot of discussion about doctors need it, nurses need it, people working as first responders or ambulance attendants, people working in nursing homes, and you go right on down the line. But there are other kinds of jobs too. Police officers, for example, and people who work in convenience stores. They all need to have adequate personal protective equipment.
And before we get to the next question, we had the phone number for the offices in Thurston County is 360-459-8514.
Those are our offices.
These are our offices. These are the
Yes.
caseworkers you're talking about. And then the other phone number is 253-533-8332 for Pierce County.
Thank you, Bobby.
The next question comes in from a live viewer. Nicole asked, if we're already getting an unemployment, do we need to do that extra stuff? In other words, Commissioner LeVine, the steps you walked through earlier.
So Nicole, in order to receive the $600, you do not. However, if you do need the extra 13 weeks of benefits, you will just need to go into your account, and after this Saturday, there will be an extra link that you can click and some steps to go through to basically apply for and receive the authorization for the additional 13 weeks of extended benefits.
Okay.
So Suzi, to clarify on that, if I'm in the first 26 weeks, I don't need to do this till I get to the end because I don't know whether I'll be working or not, right? So it's not an immediate
Correct.
concern for somebody.
Nope, you don't need to take any action right away. If your benefits are coming to an end, so to clarify, 26 weeks, 6 months, if you've been on unemployment insurance that amount of time, you can extend it by 13 weeks now, which is about 3 months. And there will be a link with which to do so, or if that runs out sometime in the next 2 months, anytime until the end of the year, you get to extend your benefits through 13 additional weeks up until the end of the year.
Another question for you, Suzi. Let's say I wait, I'm a pandemic unemployment assistance applicant. I'm going to wait till Sunday, just to give you Saturday to lift it off. And I have everything in order and I submit it. I've checked every box and you approve. How many days before I get my first benefit?
7 to 10 days.
Working days or period?
Period. I believe it's period right now.
Okay, thank you. Bobby?
Next question is from Mickey via Facebook. I am a real estate agent with a 1099. Our office is closed and I have underlying health conditions that prohibit me from going out except for absolute necessity. May I file, and are my benefits dependent on last year's income?
Was that Randy, did I hear?
Mickey.
Mickey, sorry. So a couple of questions there that you had asked. One is, are you eligible? And the answer would most likely be yes. So please go to esd.wa.gov, go through the eligibility checker, to go through the application checklist, sign up for your Secure Access Washington account, and to get on our Action Alert newsletter list. Those are the 4 things you can do right away. In addition to that, in terms of what materials you'll need to submit, yes, your 2019 tax documentation would be the ideal wage verification information that would help us process that more quickly. The more sort of tax-oriented the information, the more valid and generally known information, the faster we'll be able to approve it.
Suzi,
Joy just added a little point, and that is depending on the tax year, 2019 earnings is verified by tax return or 1099, just to clarify that. And what we look at is either is any 4 quarters in the past 5 quarters is what we look at. So easiest will be 2019. But if instead you made more money, including this most recent quarter, then you may want to shift it. But that's for that's a little extra.
And that's the question I was going to ask. Bobby?
We've actually request, if you can repeat the 4 steps that we need to be repaired. This comes from Trevor on Facebook who's watching live. And can you repeat them slowly so we can take notes? Yep. Trevor, just so you know, this video will remain up on Congressman Hecht's Facebook page, but I think there might have been a problem with the video feed earlier. So Commissioner LeVine, if you can just real quickly walk through those 4 steps.
Fabulous. So for one, you can also just find all of this on esd.wa.gov or at our Facebook or our Twitter feed. Facebook, we are at Washington ESD, and on Twitter at ESDWA. So you can find all this there. But number 1, sign up for our COVID-19 action alerts. You'll find that on our website. Number 2, download and use our eligibility checker. And this is where it will help you determine, are you eligible for regular unemployment insurance or do you need pandemic unemployment assistance? Okay. Number 3, we have an application checklist. This will help you be maximally prepared as you go through the application process. And I will be the first to admit that applying for unemployment insurance is not simple. I wish it were. I mean, really working hard on that. But it is a system designed in the 1930s. It is complex, and I look forward to thinking about what is the right system for the 2030s. But for right now, we are doing the very best that we can. Number 4, sign up for a Secure Access Washington account now. Basically sign up for your account. You can get that out of the way. And as Michelle earlier pointed out in her question, doesn't always go as straightforward as you'd like. We have a video to watch that you should watch before you sign up for your account so that you, again, can make sure that you understand what information is there. So those are the 4 things: newsletter, eligibility checker, application checklist, Secure Access Washington account. Does that help?
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
Next question comes from Troy on Facebook. I had to lay off several construction workers. One worker had only been working for 2 months and had no other income from his past. Is he unable to get unemployment? And then another person I laid off had quit his other job to increase his income on my job, but I had to lay him off after 3 weeks of working for me. Would he be able to get unemployment even though he quit a job by only 3 weeks ago?
Moments like this that I feel like, yes, you get benefits, you get benefits, you get benefits. The good news is that, yes, one of the things that determines eligibility for standard unemployment insurance is the number of hours that you've worked in the past year. With pandemic unemployment assistance, it extends benefits to those otherwise not eligible, including those with fewer than 680 hours. There is a calculator on the website that you're welcome to use that estimates what your weekly benefits would be if you looked out and were to say, here's what your wages, so we use that to determine the weekly benefit amount. That individual will be able to provide their wages, and we will then be able to determine what the weekly benefit amount will be for the individual, plus they'll get the $600 CARES Act addition to that weekly benefit amount.
Okay, and the next question we're taking from a live viewer, Terry, who asks, I have already applied twice for unemployment insurance and been told that I am ineligible both times. I have a SAW account and have provided my tax info. I have sent messages to explain that I am an independent business owner. Do I reapply a 3rd time after this coming Saturday?
So if you already have your information submitted, I believe that we're working through this very specific scenario, and what we will need you to do is go into the application, and you should be able to breeze through the unemployment insurance part of the application, and then there will be a link that allows you to go into sort of the second phase. I'm going to call on Joy up here. Joy, bring it on.
Sure. So in this case, since this person's already applied for unemployment insurance at least once, we have that part of the system already done. You've got your SAW account, you have your information in the system. After Saturday, you can come back into eServices and you'll see a new link right in the middle of the top part of the screen that says File for Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. You click that link and you go directly into the next phase that is meant for business owners and independent contractors and self-employed. Does that help?
I'll add to that. What'll be nice is that we pre-populate that second phase with the information that you already submitted. Basically, for the provision of the pandemic unemployment assistance, you need to somehow demonstrate that a person is ineligible already for unemployment insurance before they qualify. So how we are implementing it is essentially a step process. Demonstrate the ineligibility, then to go into the application for pandemic unemployment assistance.
Okay, we have time for a couple more questions. We're going to take from, if you are an on-call employee, this is from Rochelle on Facebook. If you're an on-call employee who works over 680 hours but has not been officially laid off, and you are not working because your business is closed, can you get unemployment?
Yes. Of course, there are different situations to be evaluated, but basically the answer will be yes in some form or fashion. The hours are reduced. That's a way. What we would encourage you to do is the 4 steps that we described before. And that eligibility checker, when you go through that, you may actually determine that you're eligible for employment insurance as it is today. Go through, do that application, and if you are determined to be ineligible, then as Joy just shared, you'll be able to then come when the upgrade is done to see the link to be able to apply for the extended and expanded unemployment assistance. But it's really worth applying for unemployment insurance now and going through that process. Be prepared first, make sure you get your whole application checklist done. And it may be that you actually can access unemployment insurance for the new upgrade.
The next question is from Ileana, who is watching live. My unemployment is still active. However, the benefits were exhausted mid-March. I still file a claim weekly. Is there anything else I need to continue doing?
I think that you're good to go, Ileana, in terms of that. Should be able to access the additional 13 weeks. What you'll need to do is go back into your account. There should be a new link where you would sign up for this extended set of benefits and it for the additional 13 weeks. Joy, anything to add to that?
Nope, that's the key. It will be in the place of where the previous link had been for file your weekly claim. Will be that new link for file for PEUC or whatever we're going to call it on the website.
And will that 13 weeks be available to her at the enhanced $600 per week level?
Yes. Everybody who is receiving some form from $1 on up of unemployment assistance will get the incremental $600 thanks to your work in Congress, Congressman Heck.
We have another question from Facebook Live. If we start working again before you put the $600 that had been collecting unemployment for a month prior, will we still get the back pay to help with the debt that we accrued while not working?
You will be paid retroactive to the date of eligibility. You file your weekly claim. You, in that weekly claim, will share whether you've had hours worked or any compensation in that week. For those weeks for which you have filed a claim and have not had compensation, you will receive the benefits. In terms of the additional $600, that gets paid against the retroactive weeks to the date of eligibility and until you are no longer on unemployment insurance, receiving a minimum of at least $1 a week. So for example, say you get some level of employment, but it is not enough. We deduct basically based on what you are bringing in from an income standpoint against your weekly benefit. If that deduction still leaves you with $20 of a weekly benefit, you still will get $600 incremental benefit on top of that from the CARES Act.
We have another Facebook Live question. Will our 2018 taxes be sufficient since we haven't filed 2019 yet? We had to postpone finalizing our 2019 federal tax filing due to the pandemic crisis. So do we need to rely on our 2019 taxes? That's from Catherine.
You need to rely on your 2019 wages. The 2019 tax filing provides a convenient mechanism for those wages. Your 2018 tax filing will not be sufficient. We need your wages. So whether it's your 1099 forms or some other form of documentation that shows what you made the past 12 months, that is the key that we need for that wage verification.
So Suzi, some people get a pay stub that shows all their wages for the year and their deductions. Is that sufficient?
That'll work.
Perfect. And from Facebook Live as well, this is Audrey. Once I apply for pandemic unemployment assistance, do I have to continue to apply each week?
You will need to file a weekly claim. It's actually one of the questions that we're getting. The unprecedented expansion of unemployment insurance utilization in this crisis, most people have never used unemployment insurance before, and it feels very unnatural. And they think, oh, I signed up, where's my money? Why am I not getting my money? You actually have to file a weekly claim. You file it on Sundays, and we're going to start sending reminders to folks so that people know time to file my weekly claim, because there is information that we need. Maybe you took vacation days. Maybe you did earn a little bit of money. Other compensation might have come into play that would then deduct against the benefit amount. So even if you've been approved, even if you've gotten your first check, every week you need to file another weekly claim. Now, the good news is that's basically an automated process. So there's not human intervention that needs to get between you and filing that weekly claim and getting your money.
So Suzi, are there going to be as many boxes to populate, or will there be one that in effect says absolutely no change in my status in the last week, click here, benefit rolls forward? Or do you actually have to go through and fill it out in its entirety again?
The weekly claim is different from the initial application. And the weekly claim asks questions that we need answered on a weekly basis. And you can't just say, just like last week. There's still questions that get asked, including another one that we've received a lot of, because again, the weekly claim is saying, where's my money? We're like, you have to file a weekly claim. Another question that we've gotten, we still have the question about, have you searched for a job on the weekly claim filing? And it's okay if you answer no. It doesn't preclude you from getting your weekly claim because we waived job search right now. But that seems to be one that has been sounding for some folks. I totally understand. But so you do need to fill out the whole week every week. It's a shortened version that says, are you still unemployed? What did you earn last week? Did you search for a job? These are the things that need to be filled out on a weekly basis.
We have time for one more question before we go to closing remarks. This is from Jennifer. I am a sole proprietor with 2 part-time employees on the books. My employees are already approved to collect unemployment, but I have been denied for unemployment because I didn't pay into the unemployment system, though I have paid my payroll taxes, B&O taxes, and self-employment tax for the past 18 years. I know that the current unemployment system is not set up yet to handle claims such as mine, but please explain how Employment Security will determine how much unemployment insurance I can receive. What will they be working off of?
We will be working off of what your wage was or what it was that you earned over the course of the 12 months. And so that is how we will be able to gauge the weekly benefit amount that you would receive using the pandemic unemployment assistance expanded unemployment insurance. That's basically how we will handle that calculation.
And as a follow-up question, if it is a micro business, a startup where they're not collecting an income, how would that be handled?
It's a good question. Let me go to my phone a friend, Joy. Any guidance on this one, Joy?
Can we rephrase the question one more time?
If they're working in their own startup business but haven't drawn a salary yet, do they still qualify?
Oh, yes, they do. Because they had employment, they do still qualify for pandemic unemployment assistance. It will be at the minimum level, which is the 235 plus the 600, but they will get benefits, yes.
Okay.
I learned something new.
And that's it for questions. Congressman Heck, if you want to have any closing remarks, and Commissioner LeVine, and that will be it.
Let's go with Commissioner LeVine first, please. Suzi?
It's appropriate for you to have the last word, Congressman. So first off, thank you so much for having me in this town hall. It is so important to be able to have that direct connection with your constituents and to answer their questions. So many people are hurting so deeply right now, but I so appreciate their abiding by the stay home and stay healthy order. It's working. The curve is flattening. And together, we will get through this. But we are working very hard so that we can get you some economic security and some employment security right now, and to give you some peace of mind. My team's working around the clock. This weekend, we're going to roll out the expansion that hopefully will help hundreds of thousands across the state. We ask for your patience, we ask for your grace. We do this with the exceptional levels of demand, but we also ask for you to go to the website, esd.wa.gov, and go through and sign up for our action alerts. Go through and do the eligibility checker. Go through and do the application checklist and sign up for a Secure Access Washington account, because the more prepared, the faster you get your money. So thank you again. I am so humbled to be able to serve all of you. I appreciate the opportunity, Congressman Heck.
Thank you, Suzi. It's hard not to call you Ambassador LeVine, given that that was your most recent and distinguished role, but we're so very, very glad and grateful that you are in the position you are. Thank you for joining us today, and my personal expression of gratitude to all the employees at the Employment Security Department working around the clock to get this thing set to go and to help people. And thank you for joining us here. I appreciate that very much as well. We are in an unusual situation that is, to say the least, challenging and stressful. I already talked about the numbers of the unemployment applications that dwarf, in historic terms, anything that ever occurred before. But as a consequence, we've been asked to swallow some very, very bitter pills to get ahead of this thing. And as Commissioner LeVine suggests, it is working. You will all remember that not that long ago, Washington State, which was ground zero for the COVID-19 virus, was the #1 state in the nation, both in terms of those who had contracted COVID-19 and the number of deaths. We've fallen off the top 10 list for both of those categories because we've taken these strong measures, thanks to the leadership, frankly, of Governor Inslee. But it is tough, and people are facing challenges on a daily basis unlike they ever have before. Progress is being made. Progress will continue to be made. So thanks again for joining us today. Stay tuned for future teletown halls that we may announce or make publicly available to you on other subjects related to our efforts to cope with the COVID-19 virus. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.